the Boer Wars, Australians went over to Africa.
South Africa, Boer Wars, yeah.
Yeah, and to actually stop, it's like, Australians was like, now calm down, mate, just calm down. Same thing with World War One. World War One, that's where the Anzac Legend actually was created.
Yep.
And there's a reason for it because I think 300,000 volunteers from a country which is this close to Pluto sends all their people over there.
Gallipoli.
Yeah, that's Anzac Day is when they actually landed Gallipoli, and there's 20 minutes we can talk about because Winston Churchill is a fat. Anyway, apparently we're live.
Yeah, welcome everyone to our Friday comedy show. I'm joined by Montesaurus Dean Rex and David the Dean Ellis. Welcome to the show, guys. Today we're going to let it rip, but for the first hour we will be on YouTube simulcast on Rumble, and there are 16,500 words we are not allowed to say, and we may tend to get 80 or 90 of those in. We already know we're going to be demonetized because YouTube's a bitch. Welcome, Monty. Welcome, David. Let's let it rip. On this St. Patrick's Day, and just so everyone knows, St. Patrick wasn't Irish, he was English.
Just so that we got that clear.
Yes.
Which is
That's
kind of
cultural
funny.
appropriation, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
What's with the leprechauns with the help me out here. That's a very
Christmas.
confused holiday.
That's like Christmas. It's a commercially created event. Easter Bunny is a commercially created event. Even though leprechauns were a real creature and feature inside Irish lore, they just been cartoonized and commercialized into candy.
It's
and
not
all
part
of
Christianity, but St. Patrick's St. Patrick's Day. You see the leprechauns come out. So are y'all back?
That's all marketing. That's all marketing.
Yeah,
the green beer. You know what they do in Chicago? They turn the river green. They put green dye in the river. Yeah, and they've been doing that for like 60, 70 years. Seriously.
Oh yeah,
tons and tons of green dye.
And is that because
why?
Well, because they're fucking nuts.
Yeah, as well as they're Irish. There's Irish heritage because the potato famine basically pushed all the Irish, because the English is like, oh, you didn't grow food. Oh well, you still owe me money, and the Irish are like, fuck this. I'm going to the United States, and that's why you got Boston and Chicago and even New York, where apparently they all became police.
And Massachusetts.
The holiday is
Maine.
after a guy who got kidnapped from England, brought to Ireland, right?
Yep.
And found Christianity. This is all twisted up. You English, you got kidnapped as a teenager, you were brought to Ireland, you found Christianity apparently in Ireland at the time, not too many Christians in Ireland. You left, then you came back and you converted the Irish as an Englishman, originally an Englishman, to Christianity after driving the snakes out.
And they martyred him.
Well,
that's how he got his sainthood.
I can see why, because when an Englishman converts you, it's not like, hey, I've got an idea. It's like, sign this or I'll shoot you.
Correct.
There's a good chap. Thank you very much. Yes. Because remember, Andrew, since you're the historian, you would know the term "God is an Englishman."
Yes.
When did that start, and when did it stop?
Imperial Colonial Britain, 1700. God's an Englishman.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a military quote from Waterloo, just after Waterloo. God was an Englishman, and it was about the victory songs. I'm pretty sure.
So many things we could say about that, and none of them are good.
No, well, I just find, I've always found it funny where the English and the English and the French always fighting against each other, like upset children. But they had God, and both sides had God on their side, and it's like, I don't think God cares about either of you, because you keep killing each other.
The French God is spelled differently than the English God.
If we go down this rabbit hole, YouTube is definitely demonetized.
We're already demonetized. It's past the date.
If we go down this rabbit hole,
it's past the date of the 15th. Anyways, like we were only live like 17 seconds last show when we were already demonetized, and we didn't say nothing.
Yeah, y'all just look sketchy.
Yeah, I said hello. It was like, oh, I don't like the Australian, demonetized. Yeah.
Right. I guess they
Even
got
though,
rid of your content, but yeah, that social media shit is becoming worse and worse, huh?
And it's gonna
That's,
get worse and worse.
it
well,
is.
it's the only way I find out because I don't. As I've said, I've kind of left. Well, no, I've left the conspiracy world because, quite frankly, I'm over it, and we're still here. And it's like, I mean, what the last 150 years, the world's going to end. I'm like, yeah, okay. I got my card. 10 end of the world. 9 end of the world prophecies. You get the 10th one free. Like, excuse me.
Yes, they didn't like the suits. Yes, our marketing video from last show was we were all in a bunch of suits, and they didn't like the suits.
They didn't like the suits.
They didn't like the suits. No.
I think they probably don't like your content that much because I think that when you talk some real shit, YouTube really doesn't like it,
Oh no, they
right?
hate it. They hate it. They hate
But
it.
I see what they're letting pass as stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
We could change the whole algorithm if we try to do something different.
We
Like,
have been massaging the algorithm, and Joel, our techie, but he's doing amazing. We've been manipulating the keywords in the background, and we've been on the front page of Rumble a whole bunch of times. And really, it's about just putting up good content and making sure that the back end of the marketing lines up with the keywords. And we've really done an amazing job expanding the audience.
okay, so we got labels, huh? So Andrew, do I refer to you as they them? Will that help your algorithm?
I can be a me, you. I prefer
That's
my
confusing.
pronouns are me, you.
My pronouns on Twitter are actually God/deity. So please respect my pronouns.
You are hilarious. Listen, you are
Yeah,
hilarious.
because yeah,
That actually helps your whole algorithm thing. It's been tested. I'm like, no, who's running YouTube right now? They're doing that on
Susan
purpose, man.
Wojcicki just left, and her handpicked successor took over. Some guy, I don't know who his name is.
Hmm. Yeah, whatever it is, it's getting worse all over the place.
yeah,
It
it's
really
gotten that
is.
worse. There's a Australian comedian called Isaac Butterfield. He about a month or two ago made a video. It was like, I'm leaving YouTube because it's getting too much, and he's like alternative mainstream, not our alternative mainstream. And it's like, oh, I'm watching the video going, yeah, we knew that back in 2014. It's like it's been 8-9 years.
Mhm.
But now it's like even Stephen Crowder with Louder with Crowder. He's, I believe, signed a deal with Rumble, and
Yes.
so Rumble seems to be taking over because it's just been watching a lot of Billions, the TV show Billions. I know
Great show.
way too much. Oh, great show. I hate everyone that earns way too much money. They're a bunch of wankers. It's like, I need more money. It's like, really?
So, the irony about Steven Crowder going to Rumble is during the last election, his election night coverage, he had more people watching his Rumble show than all of the major news medias, mainstream media news medias combined ×2.
Yes.
×2. That's how the show and his mug club, because what was it? Blaze TV didn't want him to take anything. Within 48 hours of converting his 6 million mug club subscribers, virtually 70% of them converted.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Right
But
there, that's instant funding for him.
Yeah, and that's the level we're at. Like on a, dare I say, social level. People they want, if you have good content, people want to actually pay for it. It's interesting where some if you give away too much for free, people don't want it. Like if you charge $1, it's like, oh no, I'm getting something for my dollar. And
Mhm.
I can't remember where I was going there, but
No, that's the psychology of lack and gain. So people figure that if something is free, since the world has been a shitty place, right? Then you're either up to something or it's not worth anything. Eh?
yeah, Yeah.
And the problem with that is that when you overprice the hell out of shit, right? They complain, "Oh my God, the world is such a hard place," but they gotten used to that construct, right? So they're just down that little line where it's like, well, charge me, please take my money, which is why
Right.
insurance companies and banks will prosper. Which is why insurance companies and banks will
Speaking of
prosper.
Speaking of banks, I've been out of touch. Like I've basically been ending my birthday cycle, and for those who will read the Akashic records in future times, oh my. Anyway, apparently a bank's collapsing, or what? Because only
Yes,
once
Fiji.
again,
Bunches of banks are
I only,
collapsing.
I'm at that level where I learn news via memes, and that's how. And you know the meme of Doctor Evil and his lover. It's like,
Yep.
I can't remember what, like the UFOs aren't working. Collapse the banks, and apparently banks are collapsing. And
Yes.
it was prophesied through astrology because of the energy and stuff like that. So, which banks are collapsing, and like, should I grab my shotgun and have a pocket full of shells as Rage Against the Machine has, or should I just
Nah.
point and laugh?
So it's the mid-level banks. So Silicon Valley Bank is a massive venture capital bank that supports all the ESG projects and tech firms, and it was run like complete and total garbage. It had no risk manager, head of risk management for 7 straight months,
They
while the
didn't need it.
CEO was planning gay pride parades
Oh,
and giving
Jesus.
hundreds of millions of dollars to Black Lives Matter. They gave him 2 checks for $72 million. Anyways, long story short, there was a run on the bank because the interest rates went up. They bought mortgage-backed securities that had a long maturation date and a low percentage of interest. And as interest rates went up, they lost their money, and there was a margin call at the end of the day. And the FDIC came in and took over the bank, which then said, well, FDIC only insures at $250,000. Well, it just so happens only 1.8% of the bank's deposits are under $250,000.
Yeah, but they're breaking their rules and bailing them out anyway.
Yes, we know that, but there is a $6 trillion exposure if it wouldn't have covered all that. Like example, Roku had $457 million in one account. Okay, now all the big people are looking at these bank managers going, how could you have all your money in one bank account? That's ridiculously stupid. Okay, they're just mismanagement. And now there's bigger truths coming out because the CEO and all the heads of the company and the C-suite, they all cashed out their stock 5 days before, and they gave payroll bonuses to everyone before it went under. And the day before the thing, okay, there was this mass call between all the head venture capitalists, which basically said, everybody pull your money all at once. We're going to force a bank run and force the Fed to go back to 0% interest because we know they're going to bail us out.
Yes.
Okay?
And they are going to bail them out, which is criminal.
Right. But Biden came out the next day and said, this is not a bailout. Then what is it?
What?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Said,
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he said the next day it's not a bailout. And
how is that
Yellen,
not a bailout?
We know they're redefining terms. That's what they do now. And even the liberal press was going, well, what? Because they have to figure out how to spin. It's not a bailout.
Once again, I believe there's 2 Germans in the South Pole's like, see, we don't need to do anything. Look, they're changing words. We didn't have to do the words. They do the words for us. We wait till they all burn down, and then we get in our little saucers and rule over them like Uncle Adolf pointed out many, many years ago.
I fail to see how these guys are that dumb. You have to be.
Have you met any humans?
You have to be a special level of stupid to run.
Did you know that the head of Silicon Valley Bank was on the San Francisco Fed board?
No, I did not.
Yes.
That I didn't know. And that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. Well, there's more. Okay.
You remember 20 years ago? I can't even say 20 years ago because that would put us in the section of 2008 and so on. But let's put it like 40 years ago when people graduated from school and they were conservative about the way they approach finance.
Yep.
What is happening right now? This is not monopoly. This is not freaking monopoly. You can't give a $72 million check to a progressive movement and say that that's like part of your corporate social responsibility. Okay, you can't do that, but apparently it's being done, and nobody bats an eye. I guess it's because nobody's paying attention, right? With your
Well,
little
there are people paying
polycrises.
attention, but they're paying attention to a narrative that gives you complete and total utter bullshit and garbage. There's no truth to the narrative that they're presenting. It's a fairy tale.
There is an element of people just ignoring it. Like
Yeah.
as an example, my mum just when our prime minister comes onto the TV, she just blanks over now. It's like, no, I've had enough, and just like she waits till he goes away, and then then she re-engages with the news, and it's very human. Where like, why people haven't risen up, because it's like they can't be stuffed. It's like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Well, the irony is, Thursday last week we did our first Polycrisis show, which was you don't need to be psychic to predict what's going to happen, and we went through a whole bunch of scenarios, gamed out situations, pointed things out, and the very next day there was a bank collapse, and we called it on the show. Okay. And I said to everyone, we don't need to be it. Now, since that first show, half dozen other things we talked on that show came true. And we just did a show yesterday, and the same thing is happening. We knew they were going to cover it up. We knew that there wasn't going to be a cliffhanger for a Friday, okay, that they had to cover it up, because right now what's going on is they're pushing everything back till June. The UFO report that the Congress required, 90 days away. The what's going to happen with the economy, it's going to take 90 days to have the ripple effect around the world. 90 days. That's all set up for the big debt ceiling that comes in June also. Every June and every December, they have to renegotiate the debt ceiling. By pushing all the crises forward to June, everyone will be focused on the debt ceiling crisis, and all these other things that are supposed to happen are never going to be blips in the news.
Interesting enough as well, we're coming up to the equinox, spring, autumn,
17th,
and 90 days is the solstice, be it summer, winter. I'm like, yeah, I wonder if there's a connection.
Yes. Yeah. So Congress ordered the DOD to give a full UFO report, and that was just like last week, and they said we will give it to you in 90 days. There's another audit of the Department of Defense.
They do not need 90 days to give a full UFO report.
Yeah, we know. We know that. It's all part of the polycrisis idea. They have to prep you and seed you for these crises, so it's in your zeitgeist of subconscious. So when it comes up again, there's more. They can keep watering that seed. That's the whole idea of the polycrisis. They have to have many crises that regularly, perennial reinvent themselves, and you've been exposed to it to accept it.
I just had a comedic brain kicked in, was like, the UFO report, and it's like I just had Stephen Greer standing up in his house and throwing a glass of wine at the TV screen. Right. I've already done that.
Right, I've already done it twice.
You assholes! Like everyone in the UFO. Like, however, going back to what you sort of said, how it's seeding the narrative.
Yeah.
People are still clinging to disclosure. I have no idea why they need the government to say, oh, no, they're real, even though they have 3 times in the last decade. But they
actually 7 times in the last 2-3 years.
There you go. And it's like, well, I don't know. What are they waiting for? Like, I mean,
they're waiting for a presidential address, like Independence Day, where he gets on to just says, well, I gotta tell you, we got aliens around here.
Mm-hmm. Right. There are so many. Right. There are so many people that obey the narrative that until the authoritarian figure comes out and tells them it's real, they won't believe it. Like the COVID injections and that. There are so many people that no matter what the facts say, they will not accept that until an authority figure tells them that.
Yeah, I've said for a while.
You see,
I
that's
could show the whole sky could be full of ships, orbs, and everything else like that. Battlestar Galactica and space Star Destroyers from Star Wars. People will wait, look at that, go inside to their lounge room, and then believe it when they see it on the television.
Yep.
Remember the lesson of the natives. There are no ships in the water because the ships are out of my experience.
That's right.
Yep. There are no ships in the water. It's not like there's ships out there waiting to land to colonize your land.
Right.
Because I've never seen them before.
But Shaman, what are those waves? Like those waves look weird.
Yes.
And then you realize there's just a ship making the waves.
Why are they shooting at us? Where'd you learn the word shoot?
Yeah.
All right, to touch on the bank crisis again. So Silicon Valley Bank fell, and then Friday morning, Signature Bank fell, U.S. Bank fell, Republic Bank fell, Silvergate Bank fell, which was a heavy crypto bank supply thing. And a number of the big economic guys who have their own shows have all come out in agreement that Silver Lake Bank was one massive criminal organization allowed to exist. Okay? One, I mean, they were publicly stating this on mainstream channels. Silver Lake Bank was a massive criminal organization.
It was the Deutsche Bank of America, right?
Yeah, Credit Suisse, even worse. Credit Suisse keeps getting caught. Okay, and then Monday, Credit Suisse had a run on the bank, and then so on and so forth. So we've had a lot of things that are indicating that as many as 60 banks who have now tapped into the Fed hoe train of money that's coming to them, which are pimping out all the banks into the streets to get money into them. So they have the special backdoor window that banks can get money. Well, what that means is the Fed intruded, what was it, $2.4 trillion into the system? And that's not even enough to cover the 30 mid-level banks. Right. Okay? Not enough. That means they get to turn it on again and go back to quantitative easing.
Yeah, we need to break this down for the people out there.
Well, I have a stupid question. Sorry, Dave. I have a stupid question, which is a good starting point. Where does the money end? You know, the buck stops here. That Ronald Reagan said that, or a president said that. Let's start there. Where's the money stop flowing? Like, who gets it at the end? And then let's work backwards.
That's exactly what my statement was about to say. Because people, when they hear those facts, unless it impacts them, they don't get it. I realize that about people. Unless it impacts them, they don't get it. You can explain the dynamic of how the Fed operates to them, but as long as it impacts them, because I realize a lot of people don't want to listen. So let's break this down for the people at home. You guys put your money in banks. You guys put your money in banks. It may not be a lot of money to you. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of money. But when these banks crash and the government bails them out, who do you think is paying the bill for a bunch of rich, preppy ass? I can't say that on YouTube, can I?
Yes, you can. We're fuck it. Fuck it.
Right.
We're demonetized even before we went live.
In the end, you're paying the bill, and your lives are getting harder, and you're getting squeezed from the inflation route, and you're getting squeezed from the tax route. Okay, you're getting squeezed from both routes. Okay, so if the road outside your house is not fixed, that's because they don't have the money to do so. Listen, the amount of debt that the U.S. is incurring in the last couple of years, Andrew, I don't know how Americans can remain numb to it. I don't get it. How can you remain numb to that kind of stuff?
Because they don't know basic math. That was taken away from the American citizens in their schools early on, so they can't understand basic and complex math, let alone understand a chart. And those people that know how to read a chart going, hey, this chart should say this. Why is it doing the opposite? Monday, the banks went up, not down. And every mainstream media economist said this is really wrong for the banks to go up. What it means is the banks are completely ignoring all of the messaging and guidance from the Fed and saying, fuck you to the Fed. We're doing what we want. When the market goes up after a bank run, something is fundamentally wrong with the system. And we know that all of the major data points that they use are manipulated to keep the system running that way.
This is what I think. I think that a lot of people, it's a layer of distraction. So before, it used to be that banks did stupid shit in 2008. People wised up a little bit, okay? Because it directly impacted them immediately. People were jumping out of the 10-story floors of buildings. That shit shocked people. People wised up a little bit, so they needed something to distract people. So they complicated the language in which they talked about finance. They made it very complicated. So you're talking about the Fed, you're talking about leveraging, you're talking about hedge funds and stuff like that, and people don't know what all that means until it hits them at the supermarket. Like, this is how basic
and
the
then
average person is.
And then quantum derivatives.
Then you get into quantum derivatives. There's is that like something about what Andrew was teaching? Like, is that quantum?
Yes.
No, it's not.
All right, I'm feeling you now. I want you to relax, and I'm quantum easing
Give me your freaking buddy, right? And then they complicated this language, and when they couldn't complicate the language anymore because people were feeling it. It was supposed to be the end. You got the World Economic Forum injecting its brand of sickness. It's a sickness. They are literally infecting the entire planet with fear. Every day.
Yep.
All day. And so people are thinking that I just want to put food on my table. I don't have time to understand all of this shit. Right? Because my life is hard enough as it is. And I'm like, well, your life is hard because you don't understand any of the shit. Right?
Exactly.
Your life is hard because you don't understand any of the shit. And then people like you and myself and everybody who's telling people, hi, wake up. You're being sodomized without lubrication every day of your life.
You're being sodomized, and it's being sodomized so hard it's coming out your mouth.
Correct. You tell people
that's how hard they're sodomizing you.
Yeah, that's just the normal, dare I say, wage slave. I've toyed with the idea of starting my own business, but I have to get past the fact that the government wants a third. I want to start a business. Brilliant. My payment is every Tuesday, and you give me 33%. If not, me and the boys come around to your house, and hey, maybe your house fall down some house. Yeah, your house may fall down some stairs. I'm just saying, all right. Accidents happen.
Yes, and people don't get that. Huh? People don't get that. It's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me that people can spend the nuances of going on social media, and they can tell you what's going on in I don't know, like even woke people. They're the most unintelligent people that I've come across for a while, right? They come out of university and they figure there's something wrong with the society. Duh.
Duh. Wow. It took you 4 years to figure that out?
It took you all of 4 years for somebody to teach you that shit, right? But what you find wrong with the society, yeah, that's not really what's wrong with the society. You see, if everybody's happy and everybody's fed and people are not worried, then the society regulates itself. But when you keep people on edge, you can do whatever you want with them. Come on, right? I have some serious issues with documents that I read from the World Economic Forum. Remember, I'm not in Canada right now, but I live in Canada. I have some serious issues with documents I read from it's on the Canadian website about MAID as an example. And that's a World Economic Forum promoted and sponsored program. For those of you who don't know what MAID is, it's medical assistance in dying.
Yep, euthanasia.
Okay. You remember when Dr. Kevorkian many years ago killed some guy You remember the uproar? Everybody
Yep.
wanted piece of this man.
Well, remember when they had suicide booths in Futurama? It was funny.
Correct.
Not
Correct.
now.
Futurama. Very good
not
show.
now.
Very prophetic show, huh? Very
Yes.
prophetic show.
Very prophetic show.
Yeah, the love of Al Gore makes it funnier. But yes.
Andrew,
It's a
how are
great
people
show.
not getting this? So, okay, you have a government-sponsored program which assists people in dying. I remember a movie called Soylent Green. Did anybody watch that movie?
Yep, I know the movie.
Yeah. Okay, so in this movie, the world resources are expended because the population is too much. So they offer people a painless death, right? But they have
Yep.
this new found protein that they find in the seaweed underneath the ocean that is feeding people. It turns out that they were taking the corpses of the people that they medically assisted in dying, and processing them into a green biscuit that people were eating. So that is a dark ass movie. So I'm looking at Canada's wording inside the documents, and they're talking about, as an example, expanding the scope of medical assistance in dying to people with mental illnesses. They did that last year.
Yep.
And now they've expanded it to what we call a category called mature minors. What the fuck is a mature minor?
An adult?
No, it's a mature minor.
Yeah.
Teenager.
Help me out with this, guys.
Teenager? Because if you're an adult,
No, they're
That's
going to work.
I mean-
They're going to work on the emancipation laws that allow kids to be emancipated from their parents. That's what's coming next.
Yeah, mature minor is, I assume, you're a minor, but you're mature enough to make a decision about dying.
So 11, 12?
No.
9 to 12, like before preteens?
What was most alarming about all of this legislation that I'm reading, because the legislation and the economic are become uniform. WEF sorted that, right?
Yep.
So it's walking step by step. So they create laws and they create protocols in government that allows people to do stupid shit. So they've changed the wording. You guys have heard unaliving yourself. That's hilarious.
Yep,
What
unaliving.
the hell is unaliving yourself?
That's like the pronoun. That's like the pronoun shit. They're redefining words and statements.
Well, recently watched an episode of Billions, and one character who's in government likes BDSM, basically, and it's a quirky. It's like fair enough. Hey, it works. It's a good show. But one student it's at a university, and one student apparently, I'm not a white male. I'm a cis white male, CIS. I have no idea what it means, but I'm like,
I know what
fuck
it
off.
means.
Yeah. Okay. But it's like, really, what? Can't I just be the template? But no.
No, you can't be the template. You're not allowed to be. You were the template for too long. You are a template terrorist.
Seriously, I am the enemy, and I'm just because I'm alive. I'm a single middle-aged white male who's heterosexual
and privileged.
Well,
did you just say heterosexual?
You and your privilege.
What cis? Privilege? No, I don't have a cis. I saw the doctor and got married. How dare you? And don't bring that up on John's.
Yeah.
I've heard the video. There's a lot of pus.
Well, I don't. Yeah. I don't know about you guys. Go ahead, tell me.
That's just the stupidity of the entire thing. Where let's label everything. We have diversity. It's like, yeah, but at the same time, instead of like here in Australia, we're pretty close. I think Canada's close as well with multiculturalism, where you've got everybody there and everybody here. But the way that the diversity is unfolding, it's all label everyone and keep everyone separate. I do find it with the United States. Why, for a country that's built on freedom, everyone's in their little corner and not interacting. Like, you come to Australia, you can have friends from, like, I know people from basically every part of the world.
Mm-hmm.
and we're all Australians. And if you're a good person, we get on. I know it's wacky.
David, I have another
ahead.
thing to add for you. So this last World Economic Forum, they really pushed "You'll Eat Bugs" again.
Oh,
And
Christ.
Klaus Schwab's wife came out with a cookbook
yes.
specifically for bugs, and they're pushing it as a vegetarian source.
Oh, it's a vegetarian sauce.
Yes,
Bugs.
I'm saying to this because David,
Yum.
David's been a vegetarian since day one. Now,
Oh,
as a
bugs,
vegetarian,
animals.
would you eat ground up bugs in a paste?
But they're animals.
Based on the rules of vegetarianism, that would be eating an animal. You know,
It's an insect. It's not an animal. Come on, it's down to the splitting of hairs or words.
Splitting of hairs or words, seriously?
Yeah.
Listen.
Plant, animal, insects are not their own little subgroup. They've got consciousness. It's like they're free form. Are you saying they're free roaming plants, Andrew? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. I disagree with that.
The World Economic Forum is saying that.
Okay.
Well, a vine does creep, so it's splitting hairs. My point is like, seriously, bugs. We're at the level of bugs here. You see, when they say stuff like that, it means that they know something that you don't know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll give you an example with the last thing that happened in the last few years. I know YouTube is going to take this video down. That thing with the
yes, where we can't talk about that thing of the thing, but we all know what you're indicating.
Oh, the lockdowns. Okay, yeah.
Yes, like that thing. So I know heads of companies who were essential services, right? Who did not take the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't take it. They are vaccine free, okay? But they had the ability to do that because before they implemented all of the checking and the back checking and so on, they escaped it. Now, but they insisted that their staff and other people that work for them take it. Crazy shit, okay? But that stuff happened. So the bugs thing, it's when people are trying to get you prepared for something.
Sure.
Okay?
Like if all of a sudden you lost the major nitrogen producer of the world, Ukraine, and then the amount of nitrogen fertilizer available is nothing, and then we have major floods in all of the major food producing areas in America. Oh wait, well, then we have inflation, and then we have our ports don't work no more because the trailers are the port system is backed up and the trains are failing everywhere. Oh, and then there's a toxic rail spill that poisons the entire Ohio River, which feeds
get that grasshopper soup ready.
Yeah, get that grasshopper soup ready. That's right.
Well, remember, with mobile phones, or you call them cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, 10 years ago, everyone was freaking out. Oh, we'll be tracked. They're tracking you. You're everything else like that. You can now get a Domino's and watch the driver leave the store and come to your house.
Yep. A little graphic and everything.
Yeah. I use it for public transport because, to catch a bus, it's like, where is the frigging thing? And it is, I was at for research purposes, I went to a strip club. And it was fascinating in 5 years where you couldn't have phones. Now, even the dancers have phones. So record.
I gotta say something. Back in 2012, our strip club dancers had phones. Even in 2008, all of our strip club dancers had phones. So there must be something going on with your Australian strip clubs and no phones.
Yeah, but inside the club,
inside they didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Yeah, well,
as long as you were tipping, they didn't give a fuck.
Exactly. Yeah, but it was just an observation of like 5-10 years ago, the classic clunky phones. Oh, you can't, no phones,
Monty,
no phones.
We have to ask about the research that you were doing.
Yes,
inquiring minds want to know. Research? Inquiring minds want to know.
Yes, was it like sociology studies and discovering how the great stripper migrates from table to pole?
It was yeah, sure, why not? It was
Stripperis erectus, the Latin name of the beast.
Yes, yeah. Basically, there's the killing fields that's out there, and they go on the hunt. They have a lot of plumage to attract
Yes.
their prey,
Hmm.
and once
And
they get their claws in, and once they've removed the money, they just throw them back.
well, first they get the prey to buy them drinks. Okay. And then as
Mhm.
drinks are applied, the vampire teeth come out and you go back to the private room.
Mm. I recently watched all three Blade movies, and in the third one, apparently, some vampires have teeth in the lower part of their body.
Yes, I saw that too. It was really dumb,
Yes, I
that
said that
part.
was
Yeah.
that was horrifying
Hmm.
Hmm.
to contemplate. It was.
Yes, of
So,
course. Now, Marvel don't ignore Black Panther. It's the first black superhero. It's like 1998. Wesley Snipes was Blade. Anyway, I'm going to change the subject.
That's
Why do
actually a good. That's actually a good point you've just made, and that's also Marvel, isn't it?
yes.
So I don't understand.
Well, there
why
was
that's
actually The Last Dragon in 1984 with the black man that starred in an action movie. There's been many
correct.
African American action movie stars. Well, remember the whole blaxploitation concept of the 70s,
Oh,
the
yeah,
What is that?
Shark.
blaxploitation movies? Yeah,
Oh, Blaxploitation. How do you say it, Andrew?
blaxploitation. I'm
Yeah,
pronouncing it wrong.
it's a genre of films basically where African Americans starred and created their own films,
Right.
and someone must have labeled it. It's like, oh, this is exploiting black people. It's like, I don't care. I'm gonna go see it again. And they were huge. Actually, Quentin Tarantino was influenced by it, but that's where Shaft came from because Shaft
Yep.
was a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. Richard Roundtree. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were huge. They were huge in the 70s.
They were giant, yes, because back then you
There's
had
always been black representation in movies.
right.
The problem is that they didn't like the black representation. Why does the black guy always die in the horror movie?
Well,
Because
that's
the
the
truth of the
genres
matter
issue.
is,
Yeah, the
let's
genres
get into
issue.
that. The
Damon
truth of the
Wayans
matter-
addressed that in the Scream movies too. He's like, "Why do
Yes.
I got to go out? I don't want to
Right.
die. I'm a lone
Well,
black man here."
going back to the woke people recently, the latest Scream, not the like this is about a year or two ago. One of the latest horror movies, whatever. It's like, look, we've put representation. We've got a gay couple in our movie. Yeah, they were the first people to get killed.
Are you guys
They
tired of
lasted
this?
30 seconds on screen.
Are you guys tired of this woke overtaking of Hollywood? I have a Netflix subscription. Why do I have to spend more than 10 minutes? I rely on Andrew to tell me what's woke and what's not. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm just not gonna watch it, right? I'm just not going to watch it, right? And I mean, the new trend is the cancellation culture, correct?
No,
That's
it's
the new trend.
cancellation culture is ending. It blew itself out of existence. They overdid it, and we are seeing the dying of the House of Woke now because it lost so much money. Like Disney right now has none of their major Marvel TV shows or movies are in even the top 15 of the Nielsen ratings. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, and they can't survive like that. So all the major news media, all the major media companies are beginning to pivot away from woke material.
And also, the teachers are getting fired in the schools.
More than just that, sued and losing. Oh, there's an incredible, powerful clip where a mayor comes up to a school board meeting and he addresses to them. It's recently come to my attention that you have been putting out books that are child pornography to third, fourth, and fifth graders. I have given this book to a judge who's agreed it's child pornography. You all have one choice: resign now or be charged. And he walks off the stage. Okay. Yeah. And they resigned because they realized they were about to be charged for disturbing the kitty porn.
You remember this James O'Keefe? That's his name.
Yep. Yeah.
That exposed this
Pfizer
dean.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He also exposed the dean of a school.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he catches these guys. Did you see that clip of the guy running back into the school?
Yes.
The dean of the school was actually talking on camera. He didn't know he was being recorded, of course, about books teaching his children, having these children play with butt plugs and stuff like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how did we get here? And I suppose that it's important to corrupt children because then you can bend their minds, right?
That's right.
Well, we have had moments where armed Antifa have been a security detail on a drag show for underage children.
Yep.
What is with this stuff where you bring a child to a drag show? Okay,
it's indoctrination and grooming. It's grooming.
Look,
it's grooming,
guys.
And the kid, no matter how hard they try to change the word, it's still grooming.
And goodbye, YouTube. We said grooming, and we're out.
Like, I wonder if they realize that people no longer give a shit. People no longer give a shit. But the grooming, but the kids that are being dragged to drag shows, that's so funny. Right? The kids that are being dragged to drag shows.
Like, from a financial perspective, like Disney, Andrew, I can't remember his name, but the Toy Story spin-off, Captain
Buzz
Lightyear. Yeah, Lightyear. That failed because there was a rumor that there was a same-sex couple in it.
There was.
Yes, I watched it. Yeah, I watched it,
and where there was a very passionate kiss in it, and I didn't watch it. I was given the clip, and I'm like, it's a story about toys. This
actually no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not though. If I may, it's not about toys. This is a movie that creates the merchandising, which is in Toy Story.
Granted, but the story, the plot line, is about an astronaut.
Yeah,
How did you? The way they work in, they just canceled another woke film on I think it's Disney Plus about Bison who is non-binary. It's a bison. Okay?
you can't mess with nature that much.
It's a bison.
But I recommend.
I guess nobody's ever seen a bison before. Yeah. It's kind of like saying Rocky and Bullwinkle are now non-binary and they're gay. We have people all over TikTok. I see the crazy stuff because Andrew exposed me to this shit and has me coming down a rabbit hole because I'm looking at all the TikToks. I downloaded TikTok on my phone a couple of weeks ago. And I went down a rabbit hole.
You got sucked in.
I went down a rabbit hole. What the? I every day was like a WTF moment. Waking up and watching what crazy shit is happening. You have people on TikTok talking about, well, God is non-binary. The universe is non-binary. I can get on board with that because the universe is bigger than that, right?
Right.
What I can get on board with is, and I'm sure you guys have heard of Jeffrey Marsh. Yep. Is that his name?
Yep.
You've heard of that? Monty, have you seen this guy?
No.
Oh,
see, in Australia we have Jeff Marsh, who is a famous Australian cricketer. It's not him.
No, it's not him. And he's, basically, let me give you the rundown. He's basically talking to kids. He's not talking to parents. He's not talking to people. He's telling kids to join his Patreon so that they can talk privately because their parents are wrong. He says this openly.
Yeah.
Their parents are wrong, and apparently their parents, and he's teaching them how to go no contact with their family and parents.
And giving them access to legal resources to battle their parents. To get emancipation.
Weirdly enough, if this was 2005, he would be arrested for pedophilia.
Yep.
Yes, he would. Definitely.
So something real quick to add to is Ron DeSantis ordered his prosecutors to prosecute the people at the Hilton Inn because on New Year's Eve, they had a transvestite strippers thing that was featuring kids in it. where it was full everything. So they've now pulled the liquor license for the Hyatt Regency in Daytona Beach, a major place. Okay, and they're now threatening to go after all the people that were in the
You
show.
saw what he did to Disney? That was hilarious.
Beautiful. Stripped them of all their powers.
That was hilarious. For those of you who don't know, Ron DeSantis, Disney operated like a sovereign state inside Florida for many, many years, and they enjoy that privilege. But Disney has gone woke, and he sent them a message like you cannot believe. All of their powers as a sovereign sort of state have been stripped away. This governor, whether you hate him or you like him, you cannot deny that that man does what he says he's going to do.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Trump for this first 7 weeks of his presidency. He kept promises till he had that meeting with the CIA and everything changed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't stop that.
Yeah. And
but I would recommend, I would recommend watching, David, watch Lightyear and see what you actually think, because it's 400 years in the future, and there's it's a time travel story, and it makes sense. Like that little clip out of context, it's like, but in context, you've seen Lightyear, haven't you, Andrew?
Yeah, I did. I let myself watch it through all of the shit that was going on. I personally didn't like it because they didn't. Chris Evans just wasn't Buzz Lightyear. Period. That's why I didn't like it. Separate of whatever wokeified or whatever was there, Chris Evans just is not. No matter what, Chris Evans, great actor, he's not Buzz Lightyear.
No, they wouldn't get Tim Allen because he's conservative.
Right.
Oh God, really?
That's the only thing. That was the only reason. Because
there have been a few things that have crushed me this year. They took away the guy, Superman, The Witcher. What's his name?
Henry Cavill.
That hurt. That hurt. Yeah. Can you think there is no one that could fill this man's shoes as Superman?
Nope.
Yeah, because I didn't know. I watched Black Adam, and I didn't know. And when he appears right at the end, which they kept secret, which is extremely hard. And so, the first screenings, everyone I nearly cried because it's Henry fucking Cavill.
Right.
And then two and a half months, he put up on Instagram, unfortunately, I won't be Superman anymore. James Gunn and co. want to go a different direction. It's like, then why the fuck did they bring him back?
Because there's a big reason. Because the Warner Brothers had to fire 13,000 Wokies. Okay? And that put a shock in Hollywood. Then Disney started firing the Wokies. And they have to rehire real people, real writers to take over the place. And what's going on now is more than likely Warner Brothers will be sold in 5 years, and it'll be better to save their core franchises, and they're going to do a bunch of spot movies here and there instead of the grand trilogies and the 20 movies all into one. So whoever's going to take it over is going to have Warner Brothers in a situation where all the Wokies are gone, because the main reason you buy a media company is for the management. Okay? The management and distribution. That's why you get a media company, especially these big movie companies. Then you get access to their catalog and everything that's in the intellectual property. But without the management, it ends up what AT&T did. They just fucking destroyed Warner Brothers.
Yeah, because they're all accountants, not creatives.
Right. It's really sad for people who are actually watching movies, and I've seen the deterioration of our childhood heroes. Like right now, Sylvester Stallone would not have existed. Neither would Arnold Schwarzenegger. These guys would not have existed if we had the environment that we had now.
Interesting enough, though, Arnold Schwarzenegger, 75, has just done a TV show called Tulsa King, and he's still punching on.
Stallone.
Oh, Stallone, yeah.
Yeah, great series. I recommend everyone to watch Tulsa King. Great show.
Yeah. Sylvester Stallone, 75, still punching on.
Yeah,
and he looks quite healthy for that age.
Yeah.
So it's showing, if humans aren't put into survival mode and they look after themselves, And I'm sure he had some help from the old syringe occasionally, but you know, he survived to his mid-70s, so, and his
Yes.
character's around about the same age, and he's still having sex.
Oh, really?
You know, at 75. Well, I'm not sure about Sylvester, but the character does.
Hmm.
And the woman in her 40s freaks out when because she thought he was 50 or 55.
And Andrew put me onto this show, which is excellent. Which I what was it? The Montana,
Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. That was hell of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin
Did
Costner
you watch?
Still got it.
Yeah. Did you watch 1883, the prequel
Yeah,
to
I did.
it?
Yeah, I
and
did.
then 1923, really good too.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you're like, why are you sending me this cowboy shit? I remember, and you're like, it's not cowboy shit. Seriously.
I remember. I don't know. I can't remember if it was recommended, but I just heard about it. It's like, oh, I'll watch this. You know, watch one episode and see what happens. In the very first episode of Yellowstone, the camera's panning across, and there's been a car accident, you know, a traffic accident, and you get, you know, Kevin Costner gets up, blood on his face and everything else like that. Got a gun in his hand, and it's like, okay, where's this going? Like, is it a shootout? Is something like that? Goes over to a horse that's stuck in a horse, not a horse buggy, what, a horse trailer? Yeah, and basically says sorry, and then shoots the horse. That's the tone for the rest of the season.
That was intense. We are at Rumble now, so I suppose we can let loose.
We got 4 more minutes.
I've got 2 here.
2. All right, 2 minutes. Countdown. Get ready to swear. Joe will give us a signal when we're off.
But it's amazing, like, if you write a good story, and like Taylor, what's his last name? The guy who created it and writes for most of it. He's actually in the show. He's the one that has the show horses.
The one that breaks his neck.
Well,
or back or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I guess. No.
Did he get bucked off the horse?
No. He's not the rider.
Okay, I'm confused.
He's the deputy sheriff in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. He was an actor, and then he thought, no, hang on, I'm not liking the work I'm getting. So he started writing for television, and he created the Yellowstone universe.
Listen, it's a level of desperation, and as Andrew had just said, he sent me this stuff, and I'm like, I don't be watching westerns. Like, what is this cowboy shit?
Yeah.
Right? But it's a level of desperation when I'm searching all over Netflix, everywhere, Amazon, to find something to watch, right, as a recreation. And I can't, they should like have a category in there. I remember when they had categories. Can't they just make a category? This